We're in the home stretch of election season, less than 3 weeks to go now. Your ballots are in the mail, and soon, if you live in Portland, you'll get to rank your choices for the first mayor under the new form of government. Last night, we heard from the top 5 candidates for mayor, Commissioners Mingus Mapps, Carmen Rubio, and Renee Gonzalez, along with Lee Ostis and Keith Wilson, in our KGW mayoral debate with the Oregonian. We asked the candidates where they stand on the top issues facing the city: homelessness, public safety, and economic recovery. Tonight, we're going to bring you some of the highlights of the debate, starting with homelessness.
This is a raise your hand for you all. Raise your hand if you believe the threat of jail time or time in jail is necessary as one strategy to compel some unsheltered people to accept shelter and seek services. Necessary as one strategy. That's everybody except Ms. Ostis. Ms. Ostis, why not?
I don't see the carceral system as serving any benefit to a person who's already vulnerable. I would like to see there be abundant housing and abundant services, well staffed to support those people. Maybe alternative shelter for people who really don't want the shelters we offer. Beyond safe rest villages, maybe like Right to Dream 2 type of model. But we have a lack of criminal defense attorneys. That whole system is suffering. Jail is not a place for anybody suffering from addiction or poverty.
Thank you. Another raise your hand here for all candidates.
David,
here.
may I
Mr. Wilson,
please?
just briefly, go ahead.
Just to apply the 30 seconds. So yes, jail time, we have to enforce our codes without a doubt. There has to be that threat. We don't necessarily want to arrest someone, but we also are missing that very important link. We have to provide shelter first. So just going to rest, just using tough love without providing shelter is missing one of those very important resources to allow our city to function properly. We've done it in the past. We need to do it again. Provide shelter first. And then if arrest comes to it, then so be it. But we can't let or leave people on the street.
Thank you, Mr.
Can I
Wilson.
use
Another
my
raise
30
your hand.
seconds?
Of course, Mr. Gonzalez, go ahead.
With all due respect, I appreciate Keith's focus on congregate shelter, but his plan is going to make it worse. It's going to lead to people dying in congregate shelter. The acuity we see on our streets with untreated mental illness and addiction will lead to people dying if we don't have closely monitored medical intervention in our shelter system. He's trying to sell a cheap model. It's also going to breed chaos and crime to neighborhoods. We have invested a lot in our shelter's security in the areas around it. It's an essential component to intervention here. So trying to sell us something on the cheap and then bad-mouthing the people who want to enforce the law is not good enough, Keith.
Another question for all the candidates: where do they stand on handing out tents and tarps to people living outside?
Raise your hand if you believe the city or county should hand out or provide funding to groups that hand out tents or tarps. Anyone? Ms. Rubio, why?
I believe that right now in today's world where we're facing elements, I think it's cruel to not allow certain life-saving equipment or gear when needed, for example, before an ice storm or a winter storm. So in certain situations, it is appropriate because we have to think of the person and the lives at stake.
Thank you. One more raise your hand here. Raise your hand if you believe the city of Portland should continue to fund the Multnomah County Joint Office of Homeless Services. Should continue to fund. It's everybody except Mr. Gonzalez and Mr. Mapps. Mr. Mapps, why not?
This is something I've been clear on during my entire time on council. The city of Portland needs to be focused on reducing the absolute number of people on the streets. I'll tell you, the county is fundamentally interested in trying to solve for a different problem, which is to avoid people falling into homelessness. That's an important problem, but it's not the problem that the city is trying to solve. Also, the city hands over tens of millions of dollars to the county every year, but we have no benchmarks for what those dollars are going to be spent on. I think this is unacceptable. In order to solve this problem, the city and the county have to work together, but we have to have a clear understanding of what the city does and what the county does. And I will tell you, the agreements that we've worked out with the county over the last several years don't do any of that. And frankly, that is one of the reasons why we see so many tents on our streets.
Next question: Portland Police. The new mayor will be in charge of hiring a police chief. So what vision do the candidates have for the city's police force?
It is true we need to have more policing, and it would be easily funded by just taking away from the overtime that so many of our cops are being paid right now. That's very, very expensive to have too few police officers, and they're working too hard and they're getting burned out. I do think the recruitment arm of it, I am curious why we have so many applicants and so few of them actually get through the background check process. I'm wondering what that background check looks like, City of Portland is very clear. Portlanders are clear about what they want in a public safety officer and what they don't want. So I'm hoping to really partner with ad campaigns to make sure that we get the right people applying that can navigate these very difficult background checks.
I absolutely believe that a city our size should have about 1,200 police officers. We've authorized 885 additional police officers, and we've set aside those funds. So actually, I believe that we can get there. We can increase our force to about 900 literally in the next year. I will tell you, I've also had conversations with the folks in our police bureau who deal with hiring and training, and I have a high degree of confidence that in my first year, I can hire 100 police officers. Now, I'm also aware that the police chief has come forward with his recommendation that we should have about 1,000 police officers. I'll tell you right now, I don't know where we come up with the dollars for that extra 100 police officers to get us to from 900 to 1,000.
Most important right now is that we have to alter the path in terms of retaining police officers. We've seen incredible attrition from the riots in 2020 going forward. We have simultaneously made some improvements in recruiting. Our pipeline is growing. We have made some changes in state law that's assisting on that. Our academies are filling up, and every swearing-in ceremony, I'm seeing a more diverse workforce entering Portland Police. But our biggest pain point right now is on the retention side of Portland Police, and is essential that your next mayor is a strong advocate for Portland Police, that stands up to them when the loud extremists in our community go after them, as they're apt to do more often in our community.
What are those officers doing during the course of their day? So 50% of the arrests in Portland are of the unsheltered. So again, end unsheltered homeless, provide basic nighttime care, provides care for our sheltered and for our community at large, because providing basic shelter lowers that arrest rate to 2%. We've got a cycle where we're arresting the same few people over and over again, which is denying safety to all of us.
I absolutely believe that we do need to scale up our officers to match the growth of our city as well. And that requires that we fill our vacancies first. Once we've filled our vacancies, as others have mentioned, Chief Day has put out there his plan to scale up the force over the next few years, not just 1 year, over a few years. And so I am going to defer and listen to Chief Day on this, because he's the expert. And so I'm very interested in following his plan.
We hope that gave you a taste of each of the candidates there. There was a lot more they talked about, including Portland's recovery from the pandemic and how to help downtown. If you want to hear the candidates' ideas about converting downtown offices to housing or lowering the tax burden for Portland businesses, you can watch the full debate on your schedule. It's up right now on KGW.com, our KGW YouTube channel, or download the KGW Plus app. And a bit of a twist in the race for mayor. An Oregonian poll shows that dark horse candidate Keith Wilson is now best positioned to win in November. Take it with a grain of salt, though. The poll shows that a large percentage of Portland voters are still undecided. DHM Research surveyed 300 Portlanders earlier this month, and they used the same ranked choice voting system that we will all be using in November. After each round of counting the votes, the candidate ranked as people's first choice, the least, was dropped, and the vote that would have gone to that candidate is then moved to the next candidate in each voter's ranking. You can see for a majority of the tabulation rounds, Wilson is second to Renee Gonzalez, but a majority of Carmen Rubio's supporters appear to see Wilson as a more viable second choice than Gonzalez. So votes that would have gone to Rubio went to Wilson in the last round of counting. By the end of the process, 53% of those polled chose Wilson over Commissioner Gonzalez at 47%. When we contacted the Wilson campaign, Wilson says it's clear Portland is looking for a different type of mayor and that he's ready to bring everyone together to solve the issues facing our city. Now, the Oregonian's reporting says nearly a third of those surveyed were undecided on who to pick for mayor. That could swing a lot, so there's still a lot up in the air. But this morning, Willamette Week endorsed Wilson as their first pick, with Rubio as their second and Gonzalez as their third. They wrote in part, "Neither of Wilson's leading opponents have articulated a homelessness strategy that we can stomach. They offer voters the familiar binary choice between cruelty and inaction." Wilson's plan is refreshingly grounded on what other cities are doing. Over the past 3 years, he's traveled to cities across the country to research best practices when it comes to sheltering unhoused people. Wilson is running a campaign focused largely on his lofty goal of ending unsheltered homelessness within 1 year of taking office. The main way he says he will accomplish this is through the use of night shelters. Here's his response from last night's debate when asked about that.
We're wasting hundreds of millions of dollars right now, and we're getting nothing, no results, there's no accountability. It's not ambitious to want to care for our community. And about 6 years ago and previous, we always relied on nighttime emergency shelters, and we closed them all. Shane, you wrote an article just this last week, your colleague Lillian wrote an article that Boston only has nighttime shelters. We have none here in Portland. Philadelphia only uses nighttime shelters. We have none. We elected to close them. All I'm doing is using a basic model that's used in most cities in the United States with far lower unsheltered rates than we have. That's not extraordinary. That's not far-reaching. That's just caring for our community.
Last week, the Oregonian unenthusiastically endorsed Commissioner Gonzalez as their first pick, calling him the best of a group of flawed candidates. Commissioner Rubio was their second pick. They did not endorse a third pick. We want to know what you think. Did you hear anything during the debate or the endorsements that helped you make up your mind about who to vote for? If so, who are you choosing and why? Send us an email, thestory@kgw.com, or leave us a voicemail, as always, at 503-226-5090.